glass bone at the end of a black hole, cold, lost and upside down.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do this Lady Frankenstein look, so if you'd like to see how I did it, just keep on watching. So first I am just pulling my bangs back with a headband, and then I'm going straight in with the green water-activated face paint from Snazaroo, and I'm just buffing this all over my skin using a foundation brush, and I'm also bringing it down my neck as well.
Faces swirling past me, all my memories rolling vastly, cold, lost beneath the ground. All done by my own hand, I allow my feelings to become sand. If you're gonna cut me down, better do it quickly now. You can cut me down, but I won't stay for long. I'll grow back again. Oh yeah, my roots are strong.
Then I'm going in with the Mehron Clown White cream paint, and I'm putting this over like where I would like highlight if I normally don't highlight, but I thought, okay, maybe I'm gonna try this. I do end up regretting this step, and I do end up going over it with green face paint later on. But I mean, I figured I'd show you because you're gonna see it on my face later anyway, before I do cover it. So then I went in with the Coastal Scents Hot Pots in Fresh Chive and Pinehurst, mixing them together, and I used a stippling brush, and I am using that to contour my cheeks and my jawline. And then using a small blending brush, I am just using those same colors to contour the sides of my nose. And then for my eyebrows, I decided to use the Pretty Vulgar ink gel liner and fill in my eyebrows with this because I didn't think just my regular brown that I normally use for my eyebrows would look particularly good with this. So I figured filling them in with black would be the way to go. Then I went in with that Coastal Scents Hot Pot in just the shade Fresh Chive, using a Wet n Wild blending brush, and I'm running this into the crease of my eye. And then using a flat shadow brush from Wet n Wild, I am just running that same color along my lower lash line as well.
My roots are strong.
Then I took the shade Pinehurst and started to work this into the outer corner of my eye, and also on the inner corner, and then into the crease as well. And then I also ran that shade along the outer and inner corner on my lower lash line.
This is not forever. Folks changing like the weather.
Then I went into the Pretty Vulgar Cosmetics Nightingale palette, and I took this darker charcoal gray shade, and I started to put this into the inner and outer thirds of my eyes to help give it a little more depth.
Cold wind and all around. Toxic people being severed, like leaves falling in September. Cold wind and on the ground.
And then just taking that blending brush I had used before without any additional product on it, I'm just blending out those edges.
You can cut me down, but I won't stay for long. I'll grow back again. Oh.
Then I went in with the Coastal Scents Hot Pot in, I think this is called either Tropical Green or Persian Green. I will have the exact name in the description box below. And then just using a flat shadow brush, I am popping this onto the center of my lid and then blending it in with the inner and outer corners. And I'm also going to use just a touch of that on the lower lash line in the center as well. And then to coat my top and lower lashes, I went in with the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. Then to waterline my eyes, I went in with the Vintage Cosmetics eyeliner in their black shade. And then I went back in with that flat shadow brush I was using earlier from Wet n Wild. And then I'm taking the shade Pinehurst from Coastal Scents, and I'm just mapping out where I want the stitching on my face to be. And then after I map it out, I do start to blend it outwards a little. The top portions along my temples, I am just dragging like downward and out. And then same thing with the ones around my cheekbones. I am bringing that color a little more downward. Then I went into the Hot Pot Fresh Chive, and then I dragged that down a little lower than Pinehurst, just to give it a nicer blend from the darker green to a lighter green to the green tone of my face painted skin.
Standing in a glass bowl at the end of a black hole, cold, lost and upside down. Faces swirling past me, all my memories rolling vastly, cold, lost beneath the ground. All done by my own hand, I allow my feelings to become sand. Oh, if you're gonna cut me down, better do it quickly now. You can cut me down.
Then going back into that Mehron Clown White, I'm just using a thin brush and I'm adding a little bit of highlight on the opposite side of where I put that shadow. And this is where I realized I had not been recording this certain step, but I went in with the Ccbeauty cream paint palette, and there was like a silver metallic shade, and I just basically made the stitching. It's pretty straightforward, so it's not like I skipped a huge step, but that is the shade that I used. And then I'm also starting to kind of carve out where the bolts are going to be on my neck. I just start out with a circular shape, and then I add like the extension of the bolt, and then just stop them probably about like an inch in length. And then I am going to be going in with different colors to give it actual dimension and the look of an actual bolt.
But I won't stay for long. I'll grow back again.
Then going back in with that Mehron Clown White, I am just highlighting the top points of those, well, normally it's like stitching, but I'm just like making mine like more like staples that are holding the skin together. So that's why I'm going with a more gray color palette. And then I'm also putting highlights onto the bolts.
Oh, yeah, my roots are strong.
Then I went into this Wet n Wild Neutrals paint palette, taking this darker gray shade, and I'm using that to create more of a shadow along the bottom parts of this staples, so that it helps to give it a little more dimension. I ended up not 100% liking how this turned out either, so I do go back in later with some gray eyeshadow to kind of try to balance it out to how I liked it. It's funny because I did this look last year just for my Instagram, and I really fell in love with the way that it looked, but then I was trying, newer things and this time around that didn't necessarily work. But I mean, it's pretty much a learning process. Like I do go back in and I fixed it to where I liked it, so that was good. And then I'm just using Pinehurst and Fresh Chive to create kind of like where the skin would be kind of like bunched up and protruding up around where the bolts would meet my skin, just to give it more of like a realistic type of effect, and then just blending out that color. And then I am going back in with that shadow and just adding a little more shadow around those staples.
This is not forever. Folks changing like the weather.
And then I'm just adding a little more darkness and depth around the bolts as well.
Cold wind and all around. Toxic people being severed, like leaves falling in September. Cold wind and on the ground.
Then for lipstick, I went in with the liquid catsuit lipstick from Wet n Wild. This is one of their metallic shades. I do believe it is called Sirens Song. If I'm incorrect, I'll have it listed in the description.
You can cut me down, but I won't stay for long. I'll grow back again. Oh yeah, my roots are strong.
So this is where I came back to the look after I thought I was done. And I was like, nope, you know what? Going back, doing something different. So I'm just taking a darker gray shadow and I'm kind of putting it directly under the highlight and where the shadow is, just to kind of make it more gray, because I felt like it was looking too white near the top and then too, like, I don't know. I just wasn't liking it. And then here I am applying more of that green water activated paint, and I thought, you know, it looked a little better. I'm not used to having any kind of highlight on my face. I do use concealer, but I don't like go to the extreme with it. So I was like, you know what? And plus, like, it was starting to fade on my neck from my hair constantly touching it. So I decided to touch up that as well. And then going back in once more with that shadow color and then just really defining the staples. You know what, I just remembered I wasn't actually going in with that dark green. I was actually going in with a very small amount of black, because I figured that is something else that this look really needed, was more black to create more of a contrast in the depth of certain things, because I felt like it was just like too light and wasn't quite reading as well as I had hoped it would. And then I do go back in with some black around the bolts, and I do go back in with the black in a little bit here on the inner and outer thirds of my eyes, because after doing the black on the staples and then around the bolt, I felt like the eyes were kind of like not as prominent that way, and I wanted it to look pretty even, and that pretty much completes this look. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in my next one.